So Phil, you and I get asked all the time about what's happening in the market. We've been on a long run, right? Our bull market in real estate for Portland started in 2012.
Yeah, the low point in the market for real estate was March 2012. It's been up since then. And the broader picture, the economic expansion in the United States has been going since July of 2009 or June of 2009, and it hit 120 months, 10 years this last summer, which was the previous record. We are now in the longest economic expansion in known U.S. history.
So how that shows up to us, or how that shows up to me, and I'm sure you get the same thing, is people are like, oh, I'll wait until the market hits a blip or comes down before I buy. And I have to say, not so fast, right? Actually, I don't see that on the horizon. And we keep on going to see our favorite economists to make sure that we are tracking this, because anecdotally we don't see it, and we don't see it in our numbers. But you just went and saw John Mitchell, who is, I think, one of our favorites, if only for his poems. That Wacky Williams guy and his great poems. But I thought, instead of diving into all the charts and graphs, if you would just share a few of the kind of high-level takeaways from your time with John at the recent economic forecast.
John Mitchell is the former chief economist for U.S. National Bank, and as such, it was pretty important for him to keep track of where the economy has been, where it's going, and every year he gives a forecast to realtors, which is, for our purposes, a can't-miss event, because he focuses on international, national, regional, state, and local issues with a focus on how do they affect our housing market.
That's right.
Yeah, and so it's quite valuable information. There's many slides. We'll just sort of...
So the stuff that I'm really most interested in, what did he say about jobs?
Job growth in Portland is continuing. People are moving here. Employment is good. Unemployment is record lows. We hear a lot about incomes being not growing fast. He brought out another measure of income. It's a measure we like to pay attention to in other contexts. He called it job switchers. And job switchers, naturally wage growth is growing, 1-2%. But amongst job switchers, in other words, people have a job and go get another job, incomes are rising in the neighborhood of 5%. That is not generally recognized, and that suggests that there is actually higher income growth than is commonly thought.
Got it. And so then what about migration? So that one of the other things that always happens and that's been helping, I know all of the metro plan for Portland is expecting 100,000 new households over the next 20 years. Anything that he reported that calls into question that, whether on the low side or the upside of that migration growth?
He sees that in, continuing. It is a desirable place for a lot of people. There are things going on in other parts of the country, weather related, that might make more people come here. Fires in California and
power outages in California, right?
Power outages, hurricanes in the southeast, hot and droughts and blizzards in the rest of the country. One of the measures that he mentioned, I like it, and I'm not going to find it here, but I call it the U-Haul index. And this isn't precise, but to take a U-Haul from Portland to Los Angeles for a 26-foot truck, costs about $500. You want to bring a U-Haul from Los Angeles to Portland? It's about $1,300. In other words, more people come in this direction than going that direction.
So they got to pay somebody $800 to turn around and drive it back.
Or it's just a function of a function of demand. They can get a lot more down there. There's more people coming than going.
Same thing. Like historically, it's been most of California and then Seattle and Spokane. Most of the migration is on the West Coast, but that's not the whole story, is it?
Oh, we're getting a fair number of people coming here from Asian countries, some from Latin countries, mostly Asian that are the international, a few Canadians now, but the big thing is, California has 10, 11, 12 times as many people. It doesn't take a lot of them coming here to make a big difference.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So, the story that we've been sharing with folks about, housing shortage here in Portland, the affordability crisis, so to speak, that story is not changing. In fact, there's same trend lines that have been there the last few years are still in place, correct?
Yeah, the demand is strong for housing. The supply is restricted. There are the supply restrictions such as urban growth boundaries, items like that. There's also, we're just not issuing enough permits. Builders are not building enough houses, period, for the household formation. There are people there. We are not building enough housing to keep up with population growth.
Got it.
Just aren't.
So, and we can dive into this in another issue about, and we talked a little bit about this in a previous episode, talking about the changes in landlord-tenant dynamics and what's happening in Portland. But still, the fundamental opportunities are really around creating smaller houses, ADUs, subdividing units, those kind of properties. That, like, that whole strategy that we've been working with our clients was confirmed by John Mitchell.
They ain't creating any more land.
Right.
And as you know from other sources, the urban growth boundary is not expanding fast enough for the need. So the only answer is increased density. That is part of the solution.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting, though, is that people are worried about that we've had this long run up. Are we in a bubble? Is it going to end? Should I wait? He's very clear. He does not see anything that indicates a recession in the next year or two. Every major economist that is making a prediction, it's constantly pushing it out, 12 to 18 months out, 12 to 18 months out. And Dr. Mitchell, he does not see a recession in 2020. He does not see interest rates changing dramatically in 2020. So what you have is, with increased demand and limited supply, prices are going to continue up. Conservative estimates in the Portland area are going to be in that 5 to 6% range, which is less than it's been the last 12 months. So we're going to resume something like that. Interest rates stay low. Affordability is actually very good.
It's best it's been in years, right?
By historic measures. Yeah. So frankly, it's a pretty good time to buy.
So that's my take too.
It's just hard to feel that way, and prices have doubled and tripled in the last few years. But it's still a good time to buy, based on the fundamentals.
Anything else that popped out from our time with Dr. Mitchell?
Well, we could spend a lot of time on it because there's an awful lot. But fundamentally, the basic point is that we have strong population and employment growth, underproduction. That's just going to increase housing activity, housing prices. The risks are around trade wars and policy issues, and federal deficits and tax policy and things of that nature. In the near future, Dr. Mitchell doesn't see them having much of an effect, but there's always the surprise event.
Right. Could happen tomorrow, coming out of the impeachment stuff, right?
Who knows? we've sailed through with a lot of noise on the national scene that hasn't had any noticeable effect, and so maybe we're just numb to all that.
Right.
And we've had oil prices go up and down, has had no effect. How can this be?
And debt.
All the traditional measures don't seem to apply at the moment.
I don't know whether that's good or scary. Probably a little bit of both.
So buy conservatively.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, call to action as always is if you want to find out a little bit more, peruse our blog at portlandhometeam.com, and our contact information is right here. You can tell we would really look forward to an opportunity to dive into this material and use it to help customize an action plan for you if you want to take the next steps.
Hey, we love to. We like this stuff.
All right. And again, this is Bob Broad with Portland Home Team and my business partner.
I'm Phil Wax.
All right. See you next time.